Good evening, everyone, or good morning, should I say, for Laredo, because we have here today Saralee, goddaughter of Jose Silva. I'm so excited, but guys, give me 2 more minutes. I'm going to tell you more about Saralee today. And we are here today with our special and amazing, inspiring guest because of my 8 years celebration, 8 years anniversary as a Silva Method Instructor. So, Saralee, I'm going to tell you something. See, I didn't really know what I supposed to do here for this little celebration, and I was even going to my lab and looking for the answer. And then, the idea came up. I saw your face, and I was like, "Yeah, I had your mom here, at the beginning of this year, and now probably it's going to be an amazing opportunity to show your face, a little bit younger generation of Jose Silva, to our community." So you can't believe, but I am super excited that you are here. Please let us know, how are you keeping before I will tell more details about you to our community. How is in Laredo right now, and how are you doing?
Hi, everyone. I just want to say congratulations. 8 years. That's amazing. So that's something to be super proud of. And the consistency that you have is just incredible. I am doing so well. I'm glad that we've stayed connected since we first met. I would say that you are also a younger generation of Silva instructors. So when we met, we connected right away. We started following each other on social media, and we've kind of stayed relatively on track with each other since we at first met. So that's super cool. And I'm glad that you invited me to come and be a part of this. This is super cool. Everything is great here in Laredo. It's nice and cool outside. We're getting ready for what we celebrate here on Thursday, Thanksgiving. And so it's just been really nice. We've been really great here, and I'm just excited to do this with you.
Super. Saralee, it's amazing to having you here. I see that people slowly starting to joining us. So just please let me welcome them, guys. We are here for you. So when I see you here, I am, absolutely happy. So we have already Enrique. Hi, Enrique. How are you doing? Guys, join us for this live conversation, because that's the reason that Saralee is with us today. By the end of our chat, I'm planning, to have 10-15 minutes to give you opportunity to ask Saralee questions about, her experience with the Silva method, how she's doing, about the impact of the Silva method on her current life. So, we will see how we are going to get on. But anyway, I've asked Saralee to spend with us around an hour. So we will see, but I think that we have an hour for each other. So yeah, that's the plan. And now please let me tell to you more about Saralee. You have her beautiful bio just in the descriptions of her video. So Saralee, I know that you did a lot, but why I admire you probably the most, that you still do work amongst your community. You are very much connected with Laredo. You became, after so many activities in your life, professional yoga instructor. And now, like you are putting in your bio, you work with local businesses and organizations around Laredo to provide, and I love this, inclusive and affordable yoga and meditation classes to your community. So it's very much connected with Jose, who actually was so much involved, with community in order to spreading these beautiful messages about what the world is up right now. So I think that you should be proud in terms of yourself as well, because it's like, doing a services for people who are around you. So we are going to talk about that, but I wouldn't be myself if I won't share your Instagram account with our, subscribers. I'm going probably to provide a link below of that video when we finish, because I absolutely admire what you do out there, girl. The poses, the flexibility of your body is just so amazing that I think more people need to see you out there and what you can do
Yeah.
with your
Thank
body.
you.
Yeah. So that's fine. Let's start our conversation. Hi, Janine. It's great to have you here. Hi, Enrica. And I see that people are, slowly joining us. So now, I have this tradition that every single time when I do have, or Silva Method graduate or Silva Method instructor, or even if when I had your mom, I'm asking always, the same questions for everyone at the beginning of our conversation. And it might sound a little bit silly to you because what I want to ask you is, how has your journey with the personal development and especially with the Silva method started? I know that it was probably very natural way, but we can't hear your story, how, personal development and the Silva method appears to your life.
Well, it's funny because as somebody who grew up always having this as part of their life, it almost came in waves for me. So when we were growing up, we didn't know anything else. We would see my grandfather, my mom, my aunts and uncles giving these seminars, doing these classes that we would sometimes be a part of. And it just seemed very natural, like if everybody's family did it. And as we became to understand how this was more of a course or a method, an instruction that was shared with other people, is when we kind of understood a little bit more about the Silva method and how to apply it into our lives. So growing up through the journey, it's actually quite interesting how you say, how it's translated into my adult life through yoga, which I think is a super cool correlation, because I never quite thought of myself as being, let's say, like someone who goes and gives seminars on the weekends or maybe travels around the world like my mom did. I didn't quite see myself in that role, but I always loved everything that the method had to offer, and how I could apply it into my life was, at the time when I was younger, a little bit difficult for me to see. But now, having grown into being a yoga instructor and how that has been what I love to do as an adult, it's really interesting to see how those paths have developed and have just set me up for what I'm doing now. And another thing that you had brought up before, which is really cool, is all of the poses and the different things that maybe I'm doing on my Instagram. All of those things could not have been possible without visualization methods, techniques, practice, because everything that I'm able to do, I have seen it in my mind first. All of those poses that I'm able to do, I've seen them in my mind before being able to do that. And so I feel like that has really helped with becoming the person I am today, and actually using the Silva method and those sorts of learnings and teachings in my life, my practical life, and applying it to an actual lifestyle. So that's cool.
Yeah, and that's amazing, that you straight away brought the elements, very important elements of the Silva method that we actually, teach people during the seminar. So to be honest with you, I'm not really surprised that you mentioned this. And the one question, if you don't mind, that appeared in my mind when you share with us your story is, I know that you also offer meditation classes for your community. Can we ask you, if this is not a secret, can we see some similar elements in your meditations to compare what we teach people during the Silva method seminars? You also brought some elements to that meditation, or it's totally different approach or style?
No, we absolutely bring in those elements, especially for me, visualization, because a lot of people, all of the techniques that we have applied visualization skills, which is basically all of them, those sorts of things that I've taken and applied them into the meditations that we do with the students in class. So apart from just the physical yoga practice, we also do meditation at the beginning and at the end of class, especially. So some of the things that we ask people to do at the beginning is a bit of what I would think is a mirror of the mind adaptation, So it's a little bit like visualize yourself the way you are right now, and visualize where and how you want to be throughout the class. And then if we do that at the beginning of class, then towards the end and along the way, we ask people to re-energize or reaffirm their new mirror image, And so at the end of class, I bring that back to their mind again. And then I ask them a lot of times, what is it that you saw that made a difference from the beginning of the class till now? Do you see the person that you wanted to be throughout the class in this moment? And now step into that person, be that person, really embrace how you are. And if there was anything lacking, then visualize the things that you need to do now, knowing, going through the class, how you can adjust and be that person that you want at the
That's
end.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super awesome. I just was wondering because I am, let's call that I am into a yoga as well. Well, definitely you can't see me yet in that poses like we can see you, but who knows? We know that everything is possible, and everything should first of all start in your mind to be able to be in your life. But you share with us a lot of stuff in terms of the impact of how you are using the Silva method in your professional life. But I also would love to ask you about the impact of the Silva method on your current life. Can you share with us in which scenario, situation of your life you would use the Silva method, and what kind of the impact it kind of left in order to be the person who you are right now?
Yeah, I think that's actually such a fun question, because just this last week, I noticed that a lot of things that maybe bring people a little bit of discomfort or trigger people in a maybe slightly uncomfortable way are two things specifically that I've noticed do not happen to me. And I think that is because of all the things that I've learned in the Silva method. And the first one is sitting in traffic. Anytime I'm in traffic, I just use it as a time to breathe, center myself, and maybe use the time to energize goals, think about outcomes, those sorts of things. So traffic never bothers me. I'm also a very punctual person, and I budget for these sorts of things. So it's no big deal to me, and I enjoy being in traffic. I don't know how else to say it. It's very strange. And anytime I talk to anybody else about it, they're like, I just can't deal with that. And I think it's just being able to center myself and then use that time to focus on the things that I'm doing today, the kind of person I want to be, my goals, those sorts of things. I know in the Silva Method manifesting program, there's stoplight meditations, and that's kind of what I really, really gravitate towards, because I think that it's so different it's great to go to these seminars and feel like you're mastering these techniques in the moment, but then realistically thinking like, okay, I'm going to sit and do a 3, 2, 1 countdown, a 10 to 1 deepening. It's, being able to get into those mindsets quickly and efficiently, I think is also a huge, just like it's almost like a game changer. Once you're able to do that, you're able to hone in those skills anytime you want. The second one is going to the dentist. I love going to the dentist. I can't even tell you why. I feel like it's dedicated time for me to really focus on going deep into my meditations and tuning everything out, and able to really focus within efficiently, quickly, and for my desired amount of time. And I actually leave the dentist feeling pretty great. Of course, there's always like a little soreness depending on what I'm doing, but I never feel like, I have to go to the dentist, or I'm so tired coming out of it. It's usually a good time for me to have a little bit of disconnection and internalize my focus and thought.
No, that's super amazing. And I love that practical stuff that you mentioned, because, it's resonate with me a lot what you just said. This is also my approach and my role during the seminar, to let people know that it's not really necessary, to go and do this 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. Obviously, we try to teach people to be excellent and master those skills on that way. But I always trying to show people, how they can use this particular tool and this particular technique during their life, because that's the point. I believe that's the point, like how I can use this, right? And help me with manifestation, the parking slot, or like you saying, okay, be in the traffic and still enjoying this time to do something for yourself. So that was pretty awesome, and thank you so much for sharing this, because sometimes I have this feeling that people have a little bit different understanding. And then once they are going to put the method into the practice, they are getting better and better, to know that, yeah, actually it's so simple, it's so easy, and we can apply into our life, those particular tool without any huge effort, right?
Yes, I agree. And something that I wanted to add is I know there's like probably a group of people that would be like, oh, well, you don't want to work to manifest leaving your house when there's no traffic. And sure,
Yes.
yes, of course, but things are going to happen. We always have to be able to adjust our response to the things that are happening around us. And that's another huge thing that I've learned from the method and yoga. You have to take and be flexible and flow with the things that are being thrown at you to adjust in a way where you can continue going about your day in a mental capacity that benefits and serves you.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing, because yes, you're totally right. Like, we are visualizing certain things to appear on our life like we want, but then, like you said, the reality is so different. So it's very, very important for us to act and respond, still on that positive way, by using and centering ourselves to the Silva method and everything what we've got from the Silva method. So that's so true. Okay, so let's now talk a little bit more about, this personal energy of your granddad, Jose. Would you like to share with us, Saralee, what would be your recollection of Jose? Maybe, you have even some beautiful memory with him, and maybe, you kind of sitting on his knees and he was telling you something. I don't know, I'm only guessing, but I think that, you are here very special because of this experience. And it will be really nice to hear your story. I was asking your mom very similar questions about, how Jose was as her dad, but now we have you, so it will be nice to hear from you a little bit more story about him as your granddad.
I always remember him having such a big, warm presence, like your classic granddad energy, where you just want to like get into his big arms and cuddle, those sorts of memories. And when my mom used to travel a lot, we would stay with my grandmother a lot, and she traveled with my grandfather. So we didn't see both of them as much maybe as I would see my grandmother in a sense. But anytime he would be there, my memory of him was that being like a classic granddad energy. I also always remember going into his office and feeling this sense of just wanting to watch him and see what he was doing, and being just, he was so inquisitive and always wondering about things that I thought was so cool, not giving up on just one explanation of things, like really searching for alternative ways and reasons and methods to solve problems. I thought was very interesting, just the creative energy and output that he had to find resolution for his goals and problems and all those sorts of things. I also remember him being just a wonderful opera singer. And there are times where we would stay over while my mom was traveling, and we would hear him from the other room singing his opera. I would imitate, but I can't even, and then we would go to the couch and like, sit down and just watch him sing. It was really, really fun. And one of my last memories, when you would say, on his knee, is that in Texas, we have a lot of ranches, like big lands where they raise animals, and they have a ranch home. And my grandparents had a ranch where we used to go almost every weekend, and he used to drive us around on a little tractor that would mow the grass, and he would hook up a wagon in the back, and he would pull all of us cousins, because we're like 30 cousins. And so he would take the younger ones. I'm actually the third youngest. So he would take us all on the tractor. We would always ask him to go on rides for the tractor. And I remember one specific where I'm sitting on his knee, and all the cousins are on the back in the tractor, and I'm there in front riding with him.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I'll try to find the picture and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, very nice. I was trying, to visualizing everything what you were saying, so it was, pretty fun. A lot of fun, from your childhood, which is anyway very, very exciting and amazing.
Mhm.
Okay, so guys, once we are having you here, it's now my responsibility to remind you that you are here with Saralee, and you are more than welcome to use a chat box if you want to ask some questions. I'm just going to welcome here new people. Oh, I'm having my mom as well here. Hi, mom. Saralee, you mentioned that you had your mom, in your house, so we have
Downstairs with my
all
daughter.
of mommies today, exactly. And we have a Malik, he's our huge fan, so that's absolutely amazing. So guys, use this opportunity. Make sure to write your question to Saralee if you have one in our chat box. Okay, so let's move forward with my questions that I prepared for you for today. So we've already talked a bit about the Silva method and support of that method that is giving you, on the daily basis. But I just also wanted to ask you because like you are also a mom, right? I would say that you are kind of the busy because doing the yoga classes on, I would say, very frequent basis. I'm not sure if you are doing that on the every single day, but when I see you, I know that it's quite regular. So on which way the Silva method, Saralee, would support you, maybe, on your well-being daily basis? Like you've shared with us this practical way in which scenario of your life you would use the Silva method. But if you can tell us more about your daily life, your routine, how you will find here the Silva method as a beautiful and helpful support for you just to be energized, and be for people because you are for your community as well.
I think for me, I have struggled with ups and downs like most people have. And anytime that I can recall feeling where I'm feeling a little bit low, a little bit unmotivated,
Mhm.
or like I'm not as driven, and I know I already said this, but for me, the mirror of the mind is huge because I think it could be done, or it can be done, not just I think it can be done for long term things, for incremental goals, for long-term goals, and also, in my opinion, on a daily basis. If I don't feel like getting up and going to yoga, let's say, or even doing a personal practice, I always recall the way I feel after class. And I'm able to come into my meditation, see and feel how I feel in the moment, and then visualize how I feel and reconnect with those feelings that I already know exist and put them into how I would feel after I do yoga or after I do anything that I'm kind of pushing myself to do. And that really helps me to feel motivated to get up and do the things that I'm planning to do. And it's not just for yoga, it's for anything that I have going on. Anything that I feel that is sort of causing me a little bit of, we call it stickiness to move forward. So that really, really helps my life on a daily basis.
Yeah,
And
so
yeah,
yeah.
being able to do it in a way. The good thing is that I sometimes do it at the beginning of my day in bed when if that's already happening to me. So right away, and I'm able to take the time as we practice in seminars, kind of taking those 30 minutes to really get into it. But throughout the day, maybe we don't always have that time, learning to be able to go directly into the elements that you need. This is how I feel now. This is how I look now. And then change that to this is how I want to feel, this is how I'm going to feel, and this is what I'm going to look like afterwards. Being able to do that swiftly, in my opinion, has really excelled or pushed that the success of those methods and those techniques more or faster.
Yes, absolutely. And like you are trying to say that it's like creating a vision for yourself in order to how you wanted to see yourself, because like you said, we are just human beings, sometimes we just may have this worst day and then how amazing it is for us. And I love saying this to program, right? It's very typical
Mm-hmm.
of Silva to program our mind, to actually be at this place where you want to be. And like you said, we may use this for that big goals, but we may also use this, for our daily routine, just like you said, how I'm going to see myself after that yoga class. So
Yeah.
how I'm going to see after work, how I'm going to see myself to play with the kids
Mm-hmm.
after my work responsibility, right? Because we still, by the end of the day, would love to have this energy to use it for, for the people who we loved. And this is when we can probably put the full stop. So yeah, exactly. That's pretty amazing. My next question. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, really quick, just to piggyback on what you're going to say. For me, it's almost like and I'm very visual, so for me that method works, or that technique works very well. But I almost equate it to like creating a list in the morning. Like if you're a kind of person that creates a list, for me, doing my form of mirror of the mind, or even in the morning, actually going through the technique, is almost like creating a list of what I want.
Yeah.
Myself, my personal outcome to be at the end of the day. You know, we create a list of all the things we want to accomplish. Well, this is kind of a visual list of how I want to feel and what I want to accomplish by the time I'm done doing yoga, or by the time I get out of work, or by the time I'm ready to play with my kid, those sorts of things. So
yeah, and how amazing it is, because at the same time, when you do this, by using your mental faculties, you actually activated your right brain hemisphere. So like, it's very, very, very practical, and very effective for our brain to be activated. So I found it actually pretty awesome as well. And I'm also a very visual person, and mirror of the mind also would be one of my favorite tools, and I actually, had so many results when I even think and listening to you about how amazing this method is, that you can have this goosebumps here. Yes. So just beside the mirror of the mind, because my next question was, okay, please share with us what is your favorite tool from the Silva Method program. So I think that you've been very straightforward since the beginning, that yes, absolutely, I use the mirror of the mind. Do you have something else, beside the mirror of the mind, that you may called as one of your favorite from the Silva method?
The stoplight meditation, I know that's in a little bit of more of an advanced a later program, not necessarily advanced, but a later program of Silva manifesting. And for me, that stoplight meditation actually helped to be able to do the other techniques in a way where I can easily come in and out of my internal focus. The original mirror of the mind was that 3-to-1 deepening, the 10-to-1 relaxation, where you go really deep and you have your dedicated space and time, which is always such a great way to practice. But when I learned the stoplight meditations, it's being able to, what it does, it starts with maybe like a proper 3-to-1 countdown, and then a 10-to-1 deepening. And then from there, you snap out of your meditation, and then you are invited to go back into it quickly. So you start to develop these points of reference where you're able to go into your internal focus and out of your internal focus within just a short matter of time. And so being able to learn how to do that and apply that sort of thing into all of the original formula type techniques has actually helped me to accelerate into going deep within my internal focus faster. And so I think the stoplight meditations in Silva manifesting is one of the ones that I thought has complemented and reinforced all of the other ones.
Yeah, and this is definitely my next step now after your explanations, to be more into the Silva manifesting, because we don't have this particular tool in the Silva method programs. But I believe that, this is something what every single Silva method graduates can upgrade once they are going to be ready to do so. It also kind of reminds me the whole viewing tools that we do have in the Silva intuition, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, because it's like you said, I like to call this tool as an upgraded version, like you actually call the stoplight meditations of the mirror of the mind, because with whole viewing techniques, we are like already linked to our coherent emotions. We are with the connections to the source energy, and we are like stepping into this 3D motion, right? And I think that this is also very, very powerful.
Correct. That's a great correlation. Yes.
Yeah, it is. This is actually how I found, that tools that you just explained to us. I see the questions are appearing. That's perfect. We are going to ask them to Saralee, by the end of our chat. But now I think that this is the part that we all want to listen, because you know what, Sarah, I'm really looking forward to hear your answer about some successes. And I know that you mention to us a few of them today, because for some reason we as a human being we think about our successes that it has to be something big, like, oh my God, I manifested this, I was able to heal myself, which is absolutely amazing, right? And we are not going to underestimate this, but if you can tell us more about your successes, I believe that doing what you are doing is a huge success of, the Silva Method tools. But again, if you can share with us something that that, yes, definitely, I've got this, or I am here because of my visualization, daily practice of the Silva Method. I think that people would love to, hear that.
I know this is going to sound quite boring, but every single thing that I'm able to do, any pose that I'm able to do, any sort of advanced yoga thing that I'm able to do is all because of the Silva Method. And I'll just tell you a little bit of background into that. Laredo is not a big city. So it's gotten bigger. We have more options for different things, such as yoga studios. But when I was first started practicing here in Laredo, there was only one place to go. And it was a fine place, but I noticed that everyone around me was not progressing as quickly as I was. Not even the instructors, not the more advanced students, nothing like that. And people were starting to kind of come into their own practice and their own intensity in their own way. But what I noticed about myself is that I was progressing a lot faster than they were. And when people would ask me, what are you doing? What are you doing? I would tell them just a little bit more of attention to your practice in not the typical way. And and what I meant was, I don't mean go home and practice your handstands or practice your fancy poses. Do them in your head. We have I asked my mom to help me with a meditation that is called a mental asana practice. So asana, I'm sure many of you know, it translates into yoga pose or pose. So you have various asanas, various poses in yoga. And so we created a meditation to help people actually visualize themselves in their mind doing these poses. So those sorts of things I feel have helped me progressively get so much better at a faster rate than anybody else that I was noticing. And then I apply that into my classes, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but now that I have my own yoga studio, I see the people coming into my classes and their progression much faster than anything anyone else is doing. And I think it's those little applications of what are the little differences that make a difference. And it's not only about the physical practice, it's about your mental practice, and be able to understand and see yourself doing those things is super important.
Yeah. Wow. That's super amazing. So now you are playing, like you said, these meditations to your students, just basically to give them that opportunity, like you said, first of all, imagine and seeing themselves, mentally doing that mental rehearsal to be able to be more progressive with the yoga poses that you do. Wow.
Yes, and a lot, even just to correlate or try to make the correlation more, is I've seen people, because everybody wants to do a handstand, right? Where they stand on their hands. Everyone wants to do that, or stand on their head. But the orientation of your mind and your body physically when you're doing that is completely reversed. So you say, lift your right leg, and people are like, wait, which one is my right leg, or which one is this one? And or you'll say, bring your legs to 90 degrees, and they're like, what do you mean? I don't understand. It's completely different. So when you're able to visualize yourself from afar and maybe walk yourself through it mentally, I think for me, and what I've seen in other practitioners that are doing this, is that they're able to have an awareness of their self, what they're thinking, and what they look like, all at the same time. And it really does help to have a better sense of your body, mind, and everything coming together.
Absolutely amazing. And just one question appeared into my mind, because I know that in order for us to be great manifestor, the focus is quite important, right? Because I think that you agree with me, especially from that yoga perspective, that we have this saying that when our focus goes, our energy flows.
Mm.
Could you please tell me, because I think that anyway, it is with the relation to the Silva method. How do you work on your focus? Is it because you are doing that so regularly that this is how you can be so concentrate on that pose? Because obviously I was watching your reels, I was watching your video, and I just see in you this concentrations to be able to to do everything what you can do. So my question is, just to make this more clear, do you have any suggestion for us how we can be more patient in stuff that we want to do? Because I believe that, this is very, very important to master yoga, not only yoga poses, but everything in our life.
I think it's very obvious in yoga poses, which it might not be as obvious for people, let's say, who are trying to complete a project or who are trying to finish a book or something like that, right? It's a little bit different. For me in the yoga, I think, and this might be more universal, is, as we mentioned before, is noticing those little differences or those little shifts that have changed from when you started.
Okay.
And so being able to progress in a yoga pose, let's say, is, I think, a little more straightforward. I was able to hold this for 10 seconds. Then maybe the next time you're able to hold it for 15 seconds. And so really being aware and in the process of those little things, those incremental progresses, is huge for me to feel motivated to keep going forward and to find my patience with myself. Because let's say my goal, it was to hold a handstand for a minute, but right now I'm only doing it 10 seconds, but then next week I'm doing it 15. Well, I have to give myself credit for progressing. And while I'm still maybe far away from the minute, that doesn't mean that I'm not working.
I just moved my
And so I think that helps to add to having compassion and grace and patience with yourself. It's like, just because you're not there overnight or in a year or whenever, doesn't mean you're not moving towards that. So that's how I have more the ability to feel more patient with myself. I also focus and do the things that I love to do. And I know that's coming from a very privileged place, that I've been able to cultivate my life to teach yoga, something that I love doing as well. So it's much easier to have patience.
Absolutely.
When you're doing something you love versus, I have to do this at work, in those sorts of areas, because believe me, I've been in situations where I have to do things that maybe I'm not super in love with, but it's part of being an adult. It's part of life. It's part of growing up. So being able to find the things that you're grateful for, that gratitude in whatever you're doing, is also, I think, a wonderful practice on being able to have patience with moving towards your goal.
I just love that, this little progress there, like you said, that little step, and comparing only to the moment where I used to be and where I am right now. I think that it's very, very important also, for the Silva students and Silva graduates who are just starting the journey with meditation, and they are like, oh no, I can't focus, I don't know what to do. But then with this little step, with this little progress, you are like, let's call it become a monk, after a while, because you can just hold that focus. So I actually found it as a pretty awesome. Okay, so yes, we have here a few questions. I'm going to jump onto the chat box, guys. But I just want to show you something before we will use our special guest today for your question, guys. I just wanted to show you a few photos of Saralee, because anyway, guys, it's necessary. It's a must for you to see a Saralee Instagram, just even for an inspirations. You know, I just loved, but seriously, Saralee, I just loved watching you because of inspirations and, you know, this reminder that, oh my gosh, we are such a great human being and we can do so much. We can absolutely do so much. It's just really, you know, the matter of practice and believing in yourself, like you said, to be able to do what we can do. But now I just wanted to show, as I mentioned to other audience today, where is my presentation, this, you know, few photos that I prepare for this chat with you. So guys, here it is. Like, Saralee mentioned that, you know, we just met. I think that it was 2 dinners or something like that, Saralee. I'm not really sure. Probably I need to put my 3 fingers together to recall this experience more. But I met you for the first time during my certification training 8 years ago. We were kind of the same, still beautiful and still pretty. Yes, and we had this celebration dinner with your mom, with other beautiful instructors from around the world. So that was the time when we had the opportunity, actually, you know, to talk for the first time. And then, guys, as you can see, you know, few years later, you can see, you know, Saralee from a little bit different perspective. Beautiful yoga instructor in Laredo, providing this beautiful, inclusive, and affordable classes for her community. And I just love this photo. Am I right? You were here pregnant, right?
Yes.
Yes, I see that. How amazing.
33 weeks, I think, almost.
Yeah, wow. Have you provided yoga classes at that time as well?
Yes, up into 8 months of pregnancy. But I actually gained 55 pounds during my pregnancy, which is a lot of weight. And so towards the end, it was a bit difficult to move.
Okay, but like we can see that it doesn't look like, to be honest with you, at least from the photo. So, you know, it was night photo shooting.
Yes.
Okay, so that's something, you know, that I want to show you guys and make this little surprise also for Saralee. And now, yes, you won't believe it's 45 minutes, you know, already.
I can't believe it went by so fast.
I know. When we talk, so let's see, you know, what our audience is having for you here. I'm just going to come back, you know, to the beginning of this chat box. Okay, let's see how you are going to manage this, Saralee. According to you, based on your experience, what is the shortest to get solutions of a challenge or a problem? Well, I think that you said this a few times today, but let's see, you know, what you are going to, you know, emphasize in order to that question.
I think also establishing realistic goals. So I did just mention that I gained 55 pounds while I was pregnant, and I have not kept those 55 pounds. I was able to reduce the weight in a way that was comfortable for me. I knew I wasn't going to do it quickly. I knew it was going to take some time. So I set realistic goals. I provided for my child as far as breastfeeding for a certain amount of time. Then after that, I really focused on not only losing the weight because of any specific reason, as like, oh, I just want to look good, but I wanted to get back to the point where I was as strong, able to do the things that I did during my yoga sessions and show people those sorts of moves and be a billboard for the people who are around me taking my classes. So in that sort of situation, understanding that it wasn't going to happen overnight and understanding the work that I had to put into it, and weight loss and getting into a healthy weight and lifestyle is one of those where it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not, there's no magic cure. You can only reinforce and support yourself and your journey through these methods. So setting those realistic goals for me in this case was very important. And noticing the little shifts that are happening is what I think also it contributes to the overall goal. You know, yes, I had to lose, let's say 55 pounds, or I wanted to, but being able to lose 5 is still huge in itself. It's still going towards my bigger goal. So that happens relatively quickly, and noticing those things is something that I think is very important. And we had mentioned before that the mirror of the mind for daily quick things like feeling motivated at the beginning of your day, or getting through an important meeting, or in a test, anything like that. I think mirror of the mind is one of those techniques that can help with quick short-term goals in a very fast way.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, for emphasizing these little steps. I just had this feeling. It was very easy for me to recall when we had your mom here over at the beginning of January. Guys, by the way, you can still watch, Interview with Laura. It's one of the most popular interview on this channel. And I remember, I think that was the one of the big insight that I've got, after the chat with your mom, that she mentioned something about the running, like you talk about the yoga poses and be so great, with that. And she said, that it's so important for us just to see and measure this little progress, that yes, I just did today, this 100 meters, right? Or 1 mile. And then, well done. Pat yourself on the back and realize that, yes, I am able to do more. I think that this is very important. And we have a tendency to not really think about that, because again, we just want more, and more. And like you said, change needs a time. Exactly. And that's very, very powerful.
So yes, I think also understanding what the goal is. So like if your goal is to lose 55 pounds, that's not going to happen very fast. It's going to take time, and you're going to have to put in a lot of effort. If you're talking about, oh, I just want to feel positive for my day because I have this stuff going on, then that's very manageable and doable with some of the techniques. As we mentioned, some of our favorite, or one of our favorite, is mirror of the mind.
Yeah, super. And then we have probably, very similar questions. I think that it was already answered, but there is a questions that kind of, put to the line the things that is the normal success different than abundant success? Well, what would you say, Saralee?
Normal success different than abundant success. What do you think that means?
I believe that there is no different. I believe that this is just your value, because like, I have so many different successes. Yes, of course, one of my big success might be that, okay, I've just had 10 beautiful people in my new program. But the another success is that, okay, I know how I can energize myself through the day. And, I cannot really see the difference. So I think that it's up to the person who is asking questions, right? Yes. What is your value? Because, again, for some reason, people still thought about abundance, but abundance, it's not only our financial side of living. Right. Abundance is everywhere. We may feel abundant because we have these beautiful people around us. We might feel abundant, right? Because, I don't know, we are super healthy and we know how we can manage. So again, I'm not sure about you, Saralee, but in my opinion, there is no difference. It just depends on my value, what I value in my life. And then, this is what I can call or name as a success. So that
I think I agree. I agree with you, because when I first saw this question, or we read this question, I thought, of course, I put everything in terms of yoga classes. So if I would think like an abundant, successful yoga class is 20 plus people in a class, and something successful would be 10 to 12 people in a class. Well, I definitely recognize the difference between the two. For me, which, like you mentioned, which one holds more value? Well, maybe it's not so different for some people. Maybe it is different for some people.
Exactly.
The class with the 20 people, you're reaching more lives. You are helping more people at one time. You're maybe taking in more income, so you're feeling more abundant in various ways. But the class of 10 to 12 people, it's still serving such a great purpose. You're still getting your message across. It's still serving you. It's feeding your soul. So I agree with what you're saying. It's where you place the value in, is where I think you will feel more of the normal success versus abundant success.
Absolutely. I'm happy that we are on the same page. Now, I wouldn't know this because I'm not really great at chakras, Saralee, but maybe, you would be able to answer because it's not really relevant to the Silva. And Rick is asking, does this necessarily have to do with the functioning of the chakras?
I'm not an expert on chakras.
Yes.
But, and there's so many experts out there. There's so many programs that you can find. But things that I've come past in my learnings through yoga is maybe having a blocked energetic channel can lead to discomfort. And if that's something that others believe to lead to any sort of disease, then that's something that maybe you can take upon yourself and do a little more research on. But I do know, or I do feel, and I believe that a blockage or stagnant energy in your chakra points can lead to discomfort, certain symptoms, and if untreated, I do believe that it could manifest into something else. But like I said, I'm not an expert in those things. We do classes for, moving the energy just for all around well-being and energy moving. So yes, I do believe that chakras do have a correlation with how you feel and the way you are sensing your body. So if that's something that you would be interested in, I think exploring those programs that are have a little more expertise in that area would be a great idea.
Yes, absolutely. And even, from my own perspective, knowing, that we can have this blockage of energy and we know that this is very much connected with chakra, it might have an impact. So absolutely. And there is a very nice question from Janine. I think that, I will add on to this as well, Saralee. She found the method not long ago and certain she found not by chance. Absolutely, Janine. So that's no an accident. Forgive the questions, but do we always use the sound or sometimes only use the 3 to 1 and countdown to deepen without the sound?
I think you can always use no sound. I think, like, again, relating it back to yoga, I always like that yoga is one of those practices that you can modify and do anywhere, at your house, on the beach, on the mountains. And it's something that you can take with just a little towel or the floor, and you can practice there. And meditation for me is quite similar. It could be done anywhere you want, with no sound, with sound, sitting down, lying up, standing, however you want, that you find most success. So in short, no, I don't think there needs to be a sound at all. And even if you want to choose a different relaxing sound, I think whatever's going to get you into the rhythm and the routine of taking that time for yourself is the way to go.
And thank you so much for that, because I'm quite the same. And I'm even trying, always to explain to Silva students, Silva grads that, with the matter of practice, you don't even need to do 3 3 2 2 2 1 1 1 and 1 10 deepening exercise. It's really the matter, Janine, of your intention. Putting your 3 fingers together, or like Saralee said, just think about that. Think about that, because what I really love about the Silva method, Saralee, is that it's so creative and people are, using the basic, the fundament on their own way. So I'm glad to hear today from you that, yes, you don't need to be in that monk position. You don't really need to follow the instruction. The reason that we are presenting you the proper instructions and the fundament during the Silva method seminars is just to show you the way how to get into the relaxation state on that beautiful, and professional way. But after that, with the practice, you are like natural. It's like, I always like to say, putting your 3 fingers together, and it will be so, and it's happening. That's the point. So I think that it's very, very important for us to emphasize today together that, yes, it's all about your creativity. Your basic, your fundament, and then it doesn't matter. You might be on the glass, you might be standing in the queue, you might be in the traffic, like you mentioned, and you know what to do. So yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, yep. there is almost an hour. So guys, absolutely thank you so much for your questions. If we will see, yeah. No,
I see one question
yes,
by Jeannie, who says about the red light exercises. Once you go back, you do not have, that's what it teaches. You don't have to do the 3 to 1 countdown. You would just be able to internalize your focus back quickly without having to do the 3 to 1 countdown. And I'm sure my mom mentioned this in her interview as well, but she has a super complete website, laurasilvacasada.com, and they have so many practical life workshops, meditations, techniques that you can look up and reference to help you with those sorts of goals that you have.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. I probably, skipped that, or I haven't seen that. So
no, I think it was just back-to-back questions.
Right, attention, to the details. Okay, guys, so we will see if the few more questions will appear. I'm going to ask them, Saralee, but just before we will let her go, Saralee, would you like to say us something, powerful, inspiring by the end of our conversation? You do such amazing things, in your own life. And I think that it will be nice, as I mentioned at the beginning, to hear, some powerful messages today from you as an extended energy of our beautiful Jose Silva, who is guiding us, to be better and better in every day and in every way.
I think a few things. I know that a lot of people can say, oh, you were kind of grew up with this your whole life, so you've been set up for success in this way. And while I definitely agree, I have gone through my ups and downs myself. And so with the method, with my mental health, with feeling worthy, there's always times that I feel very confident, and then it goes up and down. I think it's natural for everybody. Exactly. But I always tell people, if I can do it, if I can pull myself out of it, I really believe that anybody can. And you are more powerful. I am more powerful. We are more powerful than we think we are. There's so many times that I've pulled myself out of feeling low or feeling sad. And when I look back, I'm almost so impressed with that person who was able to do that. And being able to recognize those things is huge. So I think just knowing that you can, and you are way more powerful than anybody gives you credit for, is something that I hope everybody takes away.
Amazing. It's like, 50% of our success is, like you said, yes, I can do this, right? And it's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Saralee, for having you here. I presume that this interview going to be live for the next week. Usually people are rewatching. Sometimes, the lifetime is not convenient for them. So guys, my message to you, if you found this inspiring, and I think that we have so many aha moments today from Saralee, make sure, to share it amongst your community. Let people know about the Silva method. It's absolutely beautiful, very simple, effective, science-based method that can literally, change your life. And look in how many places you can also put this method to be, for instance, successful Silva Method Instructor, or, be better and better with your health, with sports, with your daily life. So I think that this is very, very important. So Saralee, absolutely huge gratitude to you. Thank you so much.
I can't believe how fast this went.
I know.
It just feels like we've only started.
We could probably talk for
all day.
I know. So thank you so much. Say hi from us to your mom, to Laura. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, because we know that you are going to have this big celebration on Thursday. And, who knows? Maybe see you next time at some stage.
I would love that. This was such a pleasure for me. So anytime.
Thank you so much, Saralee. Thanks, guys, for being with us. And people who are going to rewatch this interview, watching replay, guys, if you have any questions, just leave your comment below, and I will try to do my best to reach you on those questions. Take care, guys, and better and better.